Calling the meeting to order at 10:09 a.m. Apologies for the lateness. Lexington Road traffic is fun. 2555 Lexington Road is the location. The first order of business on the agenda is to adopt. Chair will entertain a motion to adopt.
I so moved.
Motion, Ms. Pembroke. Was that a second, Ms. Hill? Okay, motion, Ms. Pembroke, second by Ms. Hill. All those in favor of adopting the agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, and it is adopted. Next item on the agenda is public comment. Looks like there's a few folks here. Okay?
Okay.
All right. Last call for any members of the public.
Yeah,
Oh, I'm sorry.
okay.
Well, hold on one moment. Let me set the timer here. And was there a sign-in?
Yes.
You don't need to do it right this second, but we'll get that before. Take a- All right, go ahead, Mr. Marsh.
Okay, I found a discrepancy in the Winterville, city council data. So what I've done is there's 207, if you add up the votes as reported, there's 207. I took the Secretary of State's data, of what they were showing as voting, and I've got it in a spreadsheet here. I've got all of the voters for Clarke County. I have all the voters for Winterville. The voters for Winterville that showed up were 195. As I understand it, there's one more supplemental that should take it up to 196, which still leaves us with a question mark of 7 voters. Of the data, because my data of where people were registered at was from February the 12th of this year. Within that time, people could have moved from Clarke County or within Clarke County into Winterville. Okay, that could account for some of it. People, I have 6 voters that were registered outside of the county in February the 12th that have moved into the county. And I don't know where, because February 12th, they were registered outside of the county, but they were allowed to vote inside of the county here. So my assumption is that they moved into the county. But the probability that all 6 of those people, for example, moved into Winterville, and that we had other people moving into Winterville, enough to bring it up to 11 additional votes, is very highly unlikely and very improbable. Of the 5 voters that I couldn't match up through my voter data, from February the 12th, 3 of them early voted. And so taking that early vote data, it does give you their addresses and all of that, so you know where, names and all of that. So I was able to ascertain that those 3 people were not in Winterville, which left 2 there, plus anybody that might have moved, those 6 that had moved into Clarke, and I'm assuming they moved into Clarke County, okay, because they had been registered elsewhere. And the 2 people that I have no idea, those I think were new registrations. They moved from out of state or just had newly registered. But anyhow, those 2, like I say, the probability that all of these people would have moved in there and still trying to get that to add up to 11 is very problematic. And so I don't know how exactly to deal with that. And
Okay.
Mr. Ralph.
Thank you for your comment.
Just as a little personal, as he has some duties for Clarke.
I'm
Vote review,
not entirely sure.
the vote
Vote
review.
review panel.
Would not that be more appropriate to discuss within our meeting? Public comment?
Well, I apologize, as you know, I wasn't at the meeting on Friday. I would just say he's a voter in Clarke County, so any voter is entitled to public comment, in my opinion, but your point is taken, so thank you for that comment. All right, let's go on to the next agenda item, which was the special primary election for the Public Service Commission and the City of Winterville special election. I think maybe we'll start with Director Pam. As long as people can be started.
Okay, so
We are finished with all the tabulation for the, election day advance voting and absentee by mail. We do have one provisional voter that we do need to present. We did review on it. And the precinct, and it was after 5 o'clock, that the day before the voter was signed. So once we had done all our investigation of it, we, believe that we should count this voter.
Okay.
So just need to see if you guys agree.
Is there the normal sheet? It only has one this time.
This just one that voted, and I just put, we numbered as voter one, so don't give the voter's name and stuff, but that's the voters like information and where they were supposed to had voted it, because they went to precinct 8B to vote.
Okay.
Like I said, it was after, 5 o'clock. It was actually, I written down the time, it was at 6:56 p.m. in the vote.
6:56, okay. Is this the document you need the signatures on?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so why doesn't everyone just take a review of that, and then the floor is open for a motion to accept or reject that? Okay, we're good?
We'll do.
Would you like to make a motion to that? Okay.
I so move that we, vote on the, what's that called?
A provisional ballot.
Provisional ballot.
Do we have a second?
Yeah.
Okay, would you accept the friendly amendment to include the word approve?
Yeah.
All right, did you capture that?
Motion by Ms. Fambro to, was it accept or approve? Again,
Approve was my suggestion, but
That's fine.
to, and forgive me if I misunderstood, to approve staff's recommendation to accept one provisional ballot.
so if you,
Second by Ms. Till.
Ms. Hill, all those in favor of that motion say aye. Okay, that motion passes. Let's go ahead and sign this document.
Yes, more copies.
All right, sure. Ms. Long, would you like to continue on while we do those signatures?
And you, I do have the certification of the returns.
Hold on, I'm sorry.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
this document is not correct. I'm not the vice chair. Can I just cross that out or do we need another?
Yeah, let's just cross it out and we could, just as long as there's a quorum of signatures, it's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead, Ms. Long.
Okay, do we stop to process this before we can finish going to the certification portion?
Yeah. In the past, we've gone into a recess
Okay,
to allow them to go back and do the final report.
okay.
So, is that what you're recommending?
Yes.
This point, okay, motion on the floor to go into recess for, let's say, 30 minutes. Probably an overestimation, but we underestimated, so
Till 10:48.
10, I mean, 10:50.
If recess is a motion thing, I'll move to go here, right? Recess is 10:48. That's appropriate.
Until it's done?
Well, Sherry has always defined.
I will amend my motion to go to recess until tabulating.
Do we have a second? Did you hear what he said? Mr. Shirley made a motion to go to recess until 10:48 a.m.
This first?
Yeah, second, Ms. Dell. Okay. All those in favor of a recess, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Meeting recess until 10:48. Chair recognizes interim director Long.
Chair Russell, we have certified and completed our tabulations for this special election for PSC in Winterville, election, the provisional is in. So normally we can turn it back over to you to make your announcement and do the signing of the certification papers.
So the first step that we usually do is read the, office and the candidate and the number of votes cast. So we'll go ahead and do that, and then we'll look at the numbers. So for PSC District 2 Republican ballot, there was 2 candidates, Tim Eccles with 580 votes. There was, the second candidate was Lee Munns with 121 votes. For the PSC District 2 Democratic ballot, there was 1 candidate, Alicia M. Johnson, receiving 2,565 votes. For PSC District 3 Republican ballot, there was 1 candidate, Fitz Johnson, receiving 517 votes. For the Public Service Commission District 3 Democratic ballot, there were 3 candidates. First candidate, Peter Hubbard, received 1,230 votes. The second candidate, Robert Jones, received 485 votes. The third candidate, Keisha Sean Waits, received 926 votes. And the final race on our ballot was City Council Winterville. There were 4 candidates. The first one, Diane Green, received 54 votes. Second candidate, Timothy Pierce, received 73 votes. Heidi Spratlin was the third candidate, and she received 69 votes. Isaac Swire? Okay, Isaac received 11 votes. And what's that? Do we need to read any other information? Mr. Brinker? Okay. Right, you did have, well, Ms. McGowan passed out a document to it. Can we just go back to that? Just explain what was passed on to us. This one, would you just explain this document? Please? Or,
Oh, this is McLaughlin, what she did, was she printed out a list of voters who received credit in this election.
Those are the list of voters who received credit in Winterville in combo 304 and 306. The city of Winterville race. I apologize that there are not totals on those pages. There's
That's
187 total voters listed that checked in on the poll pads. That's what that's a list of.
Okay.
There were 2 supplemental voters, which equals 189, which matches the report.
We need to leave this here.
It's public information as far as I know, unless
Okay.
Courtney has copies, she can tell you.
Yeah, there's no,
No identifying.
no birth dates or anything on here, right?
No.
Yes.
all right, so that list matches this list on the report, plus 16 folks voted advance vote. 2 people voted absentee by mail, which brings us to a total of 207. Okay. The next thing is, maybe we should just quickly review the statute that requires us to certify. Can we read that language? I'm sorry to put you on the spot. It's in my head.
It's fine, you know.
I think I just want to put emphasis on what those words say. Make sure that's clear.
Okay, let me see if it's, I'll read you a portion of the statute, but let me see if it's clearer in the rules and regulations that way.
Would you mind citing the number too?
Yeah, sure. All right, let me just tell you what is to be read aloud. It's just double check, because you know, it's in the first part of it, just to make sure you did this. So pursuant to the, rules and regulations of the Secretary of State, so 183.112 dash .12. A list of voters who voted in the election shall be compiled, including the category, the number of voters who voted on election day in person, advance voting, absentee, and provisionally. The list shall be examined for duplicates. The list shall then be sorted by precinct. This is by staff that reports to you. The total number of unique voter IDs from each precinct shall be counted. The total number of unique voters who voted by each vote method shall be reported for each precinct. For each precinct, the board member shall compare the total number of ballots cast to the total number of unique voter ID numbers. In any precinct in which the number of ballots exceeds the number of unique voters, the board shall determine the method of voting in which the discrepancy exists. The board shall investigate the discrepancy, and no vote shall be counted from that precinct until the results of the investigation are presented to the board as required by the statute. I think that's where you are. So the statute provides that the superintendent, before computing the votes cast in any precinct, shall compare the registration figures with the certificates returned by the poll officer showing the number of persons who voted in each precinct or the number of ballots cast. If upon consideration by the superintendent, you guys are acting as a superintendent for this respect, the returns and certificates before him or her from any precinct, it shall appear that the total votes returned for any candidate or candidates for the same office or nomination or on any question exceeds the number of electors in such precinct or exceeds the total number of persons who voted in each such precinct or the total number of ballots cast therein, such excess shall be deemed a discrepancy and palpable error and shall be investigated by the superintendent. No vote shall be reported from the precinct until an investigation shall be had. It goes on, but that's your charge, is to compare the total number of ballots cast to the total number of unique voter ID numbers is the charge of certification.
With that, let's turn over to the board members. Any questions, comments, concerns? Kendra?
No, I'd just like to, thank the staff for all they've done during this election, and be sure the next time you guys see the poll workers, thank them also.
Still? Anything?
I do. I appreciate the numbers. First of all, echoing Ms. Rambo, I appreciate the numbers that staff has compiled all the way that went into this. I've had a chance to discuss with Mr. Marsh and looking at the results that he shared with me and having spoken with staff about that too. What makes me, of course, in principle, we all want to make sure the vote is exactly right all the time. If the difference in the two, the winner and the first runner-up is 10,000 votes, and we're talking about 6 votes that are awry, it's going to come out in the wash, and I would be less on alert about it. But the fact that we have such a very tight contest on the ballot this time makes me, I'm sure everybody in here especially, concerned about that difference. I understand that because the election is so tight, is it true to state that if we, that a candidate cannot challenge the results until certification is happening?
That's correct.
Okay. And so because it's so narrow result, the result therefore is not so much where we come in, it's where the candidates can challenge in court, ask for a recount. That's kind of where their role is more. Ours is more like you said, to see the numbers match up with what we have in our reports and we're good to go. So that makes me think that even though I share the concern that Mr. Marsh brought up about this, I have confidence that the candidates one of them will probably request a recount, and then we'll be able to get more into this anyway. That's where, I don't know, just be clear to everybody, I respect the numbers you come to us with, but I think that in the interest of the process, there will be a check on this that we can get to down the line. So I wanted just to share that all this was discussed, but that I'm ultimately coming down in favor of certifying, even though I would be outvoted if I were not to do it certifying. But I want to let you know that I'm putting in the work to try and make the numbers reconcile, right, what you brought up. So, thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right. With that, the floor is open for a motion to certify the June 17th special election.
I so moved.
I'll second.
All right. I like it. would you just read that motion again?
I have a motion by Mr. Fairley to certify the results of the June 17, 2025 special primary election, Public Service Commission, and the City of Winterville special election, seconded by Ms. Phillips.
Okay, all those in favor of certifying, say aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Hearing none, the election is certified unanimously. With that, before we go into the executive session, is there any additional paperwork you'd like us to complete now?
This is.
Okay. And just to be clear, I'm signing one of these lines in the next board. You to sign?
That's for the, so,
I see.
so,
I see.
that's for the Republican, that's for the Democrat, and then the other one is for the, city of Winterville.
I see. I see superintendent and assistants, work deputy assistants.
Just a city Winterville
Yes.
specific document.
Yes.
Oh. Girl, I got a crane for these. Thank you.
Oh. At this point, we'll ask non-necessary folks to leave, but first, we will open the floor for a motion to enter into our executive session to discuss possible pending litigation, excuse me. Should I read this exact wording?
That'd be great.
Okay, that's fine. All right, so the floor is open for a motion to enter into executive session with legal counsel pending or potential litigation, excuse me, settlements, claims, administrative proceedings, or other judicial actions brought or to be brought by or against the agency or any officer or employee or in which the agency or any officer or employee may be directly involved as authorized by OCGA 50-14-2.
I so move.
Motion, Mr. Curley.
I second.
All right. Second by Ms. Famirow. All those in favor of entering into session, say aye.
Aye.
All right. Two members of the public step out.
David, the chair of the board, personally appeared before me an officer duly authorized by law to administer oath, the undersigned, who after first being duly sworn, does state that the subject matter of the meeting and the closed portion thereof held in the executive session of the Athens-Clarke County Board of Elections on the above date was devoted to matters within the specific relevant exception to the Open Meetings Act provided by the sections. And that unless otherwise noted, beside the signatures below, no other topics were discussed or presented by any persons present at such meeting other than specific topic listed below for which the closed session was called. And then the specific topic below is the restatement of the attorney-client conference pertaining to a pending or potential litigation, settlement claims, administrative proceedings, other judicial actions.
Signed. Next item on the agenda is adjournment.
I so move.
Oh. Get all my words.
Good.
Second. Still, all those in favor of adjourning, say aye.
Aye.